Hey, Carl, it's BJ. Just wanted to say enjoyed your last episode, and I think it is very appropriate that the episode you did for the week of Christmas, you recounted you and Amy taking a meandering road home and stopping at all the breweries in Texas because I don't know if you know this or not, but St. Nicholas, in addition to being Santa Claus, is the patron saint of children, of sailors, and of brewers. So very very appropriate that you discuss beer on the week of Christmas. I guess next year you need to make a trip to Galveston or Corpus Christi or someplace like that and go sailing, so that you can touch on sailing the week we are thinking about St. Nicholas. Anyway, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Carl Rodriguez is the GMologist, GM extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geomologist Presents. That was BJ Boyd of the Arcane Alienist at the top of the show. BJ, thank you for that call. It was pretty cool that you mentioned St. Nicholas. So, looking on the Wikipedia, St. Nicholas, or as we commonly call him Santa Claus because of his legendary habit of secret gift giving, is based on St. Nicholas of Myra, also known as Nicholas of Bari. He was an early Christian bishop of Greek descent from the maritime city of Myra, which makes sense as to why he would be the patron saint of sailors, merchants, etc. He's a patron saint of other things, which is pretty interesting. Myra is in Asia Minor. It's modern day Demra in Turkey, and this was during the time of the Roman Empire. So it looks like 3rd century to mid 4th century he was alive, from 270 to 343. Maybe if Arlen Walker calls in, he can give us a history lesson of the Roman Empire at that time, which would be kind of cool. So that's Arlen Walker of the Live from Pelham's Wasteland podcast and YouTube video. Sorry about that, folks. I had to pause and get something to drink. My tongue was like tied or dry or something. Anyway, as well as being the patron saint of sailors and merchants, St. Nicholas is also the patron saint of archers, repentant thieves, children, pawnbrokers, and brewers, as well as unmarried people. I guess also students from various cities and countries in Europe. So I guess I could visit some universities too. In any case, thank you for that call, BJ. It's been really fun. Again, welcome to the Geomologist. This is going to be the year in retrospect and the year ahead. So sit back, relax. I'm going to talk about the games that I'm running, the ongoing games, some milestones we reached this year in our gaming groups, what I would love to do and plan to run in the future, and to talk about other sort of media avenues that I'm working on or that I'm doing. So yeah, thanks again for listening, and I'll be right back. When I put an outline of the show together, I was like, how can I organize it? And I think I'll just organize it by days of the week and talk about the games that I'm playing. Mainly, I'll mention the games that I'm playing in. And as far as, because I don't know what the GM has plans for, I just know about scheduling. But I can go more in depth, and I will go more in depth about the games that I'm running on a particular day. So start with Monday. So Monday, I have 2 games. Each is bi-weekly. The first game is Reaver, run by Joe Salvador of Raven God Games, and he's running an ongoing playtest of material he wants to cover, things he wants to look at. But it is an ongoing story of the characters that have been playing in this game. I play Askell the Lame, who is a shaman, an alchemist, and he's Hibernian, which is sort of tribal Germanic, if you can find a touchstone for that in our world, and kind of moving into, we did like this whole kind of campaign called Spears in the Mist, where Joe's testing some things about the basic game design. We went through a lot of different iterations. I can't wait. He's planning on doing the Kickstarter, I hope, first, maybe second quarter of this year. And then now we're running some high level stuff to see how high level play game works. So I'm very excited about that. On the opposite Mondays, I run a game of Traveler, and I call the campaign Behind the Claw, but its subtitle is Order of the March. And the characters through the course of this first year, we started playing January 2023, and this game is almost a year old. It's going to continue. The players are now rubbing elbows with some movers and shakers in the area of the border area of the Spinward Marches. If you're familiar with Mark Miller's Third Imperium, the Spinward Marches is kind of a traditional area where he sets where a lot of the world lore, the lore is set. There's a Third Imperium, which is the default political entity where the player characters are from, but there's also some small client states of the two big powers, the Third Imperium and something called the Jodani or Zodani consulate, depending on who you talk to about pronunciation. And the Jodani consulate is sort of a group where a political entity that's pretty big. It's maybe about 2/3 the size of the Imperium, extending to Coreward and Spinward, and they're sort of the main thing that people in the Imperium know about the Jodani consulate is that there are a higher prevalence of psionics among the human species there, and psionics kind of rules, or at least in the Third Imperium propaganda, controls the population. So that's a big thing in that sector. But the player characters are also, they kind of run up against sort of the Ihatai of the Aslan species, which are relatively, Aslan is a name given to the species by a cat-like pouncer evolved species from, it would be Trailing and Spinward of the Third Imperium around the Solomani, the old Terra sphere, and the second sons and unlanded males have kind of encroached, as well as traders have encroached from the Aslan Hierate into this area. So it's a really interesting area. There's also the Vargar extends directly to Coreward. So Spinward March has always been a fun, dynamic area to play, and the characters are making a name for themselves. During the course of the year, they have done some service for the Imperium in a couple of instances where a sort of where they've become honor nobles. So they've been elevated to noble status because of their service. They're heading towards the noble ceremony in a nearby subsector capital called Gliston, which is the main world is a series of asteroids. It's an asteroid belt is the main world. And they're heading there with maybe a little bit of arm twisting and incentive from the NPCs. They are going there on a highfalutin luxury liner called the King Richard, and they're going to be having two jumps from where they were at Murktactor on the border of the Imperium. It's like a pleasure world there, and they're going from Murktactor to Gliston, and maybe they'll go further into the Imperium to Mora, where one of their patrons, one of their employers, a Sir Thingvaler, the hunter, is going to present the findings of the expedition where he had hired the player characters to help him find the Thingvaler crested trapper. They also found a new species, a new Sophont group there on 567908, the 908ers, and one of the player characters is writing a treatise, a paper introducing the Sophonts to the Imperium. So I think with their stamp of nobility behind them, it's going to go pretty well for them, I believe. So I'm very excited about that. We've already done some introductions, and they've met some of the notable characters aboard the King Richard. Hopefully they won't watch it, but I am taking, and I thank Kevin Madison of the Dungeon Musings podcast and YouTube, mainly Actual Play YouTube. So Kevin Madison, the Dungeon Muser, has kind of inspired me to run certain types of adventures. So I think we're going to run something like that aboard the King Richard, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know how long the King Richard stuff's going to take. Don't worry, player characters, you'll get to your ceremony and become knighted. I know a couple of them listen here, but I think it's going to be kind of fun aboard the King Richard, where it's like, whoa, luxury, and they're kind of not used to that. They're used to kind of like the gritty, grimy elbow grease of like a regular kind of ship. So yeah, they have like kind of a fleet too. So they have but they're negotiating to get an upgraded ship maybe because they want to be not act as nobles and actually employees of a biotech medical supply company in the sector. So I think things are looking up for the player characters, the crew of the Kierkegaard. We have a doctor. We have like an investigator, ex policeman. We have an ex scout among the characters. We have three main player characters, and they have, of course, accumulated some NPCs. So this is definitely a game that if you're interested, we play on Monday evenings, and there definitely we could use another player or two. Not necessary. We continue as we go. We go on, and yeah. So they have a lab ship. They have a scout ship. And they're kind of some crew a little bit, temporary crew on a safari ship. And now they're all aboard a luxury liner, 5,000 plus ton King Richard. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Traveler. On Tuesday, one Tuesday's open, and I'm probably going to use that for pickup games, one shots for my very new YouTube channel. I'm trying to do actual play on the Geomologist Presents YouTube channel. I'll put that in the show notes. Some of you I know listen or check it out, have checked it out. It'd be great if you haven't, if you could, and then just like and subscribe. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but some of them are pretty good. We're not voice actors or anything like that, but some people have kind of neat voices, pleasant voices to listen to when they're playing the game. I've used different platforms, not just Roll20, but also Foundry. I haven't put anything from Fantasy Grounds up on there yet, but yeah, and we've done some review in a panel of some games. We might do some more of that too. So anyway, that's what that one Open Tuesday is going to be used for, I think. And then the other Tuesday is Twilight 2000. So Twilight 2000 4th edition. We've been doing this for 2.5 years, I believe, and we're running through sort of the classic old 1E adventures, starting with the breakout at Kalit. You're on your own, and then heading to Krakow. So we did the Free City of Krakow. We've done the Black Madonna. We did the Pirates of the Vistula. We finished that up very recently, and now we're on to the Ruins of Warsaw, where the player characters have to deal with a warlord who's trying to take over what's left of the old Polish capital, Warsaw, which is very interesting. So we have a really great group of players. They're very strategic and tactically minded. We've had one player character was killed this year towards the end of the year, not even in a main operation, kind of in a side operation, which was, maybe it'll help the players to become even more cautious than they usually are. They're very good about reconning and planning what they're going to do. They have an interesting engagement coming up where they've agreed. They found a group of ex-Russian soldiers or Russian airmen who have a helicopter, a Hind D, that is in some need of repair and refit, but these airmen told them that they knew of an airfield where they could get this stuff, but then they tried to take it but failed. They learned that some of this Black Baron warlord's men have the airfield, and the players want to start rolling back just like they did earlier at the end of Pirates of the Vistula, and took out one of the Baron's main henchmen, the admiral, they want to roll back some other groups of the Baron and push their way into Warsaw. So in this last group, we actually split the party a little bit. So one of the group needed to go, and they had just kind of rescued some of the local populace coming out of Warsaw. What are they called? They're called the Moktovians, and they're on the outskirts of Warsaw. They don't like what the Black Baron or what he's doing, and some of them have been. They saw that some of them have been captured by some of the Black Baron's men. They rescued them, and then they said, "Well, we really got to go contact some of the anti-Baron forces in Warsaw." So Amy's character and the Saint, Saint Florian, also known as Ren, someone that they rescued in the caverns of the Black Madonna after he shot at them. In the caverns of the destroyed monastery in Shestashova, where they recovered the Black Madonna. And anyway, so that group, they go to towards Warsaw, and they find out, because they had heard a rumor, but they kind of substantiate that rumor, that the person that's taking him up to Warsaw to rescue his family, Adam Ratej, well, his brother is leading or helping to lead one of these anti-Baron forces in Warsaw. So they're able to hook up with them. They run into a small patrol of the Baron's sort of militia, but not a very strong one. And Ren and Kasha take them out. Take out like 9 of them very quickly. There is some return fire, but those guys weren't great shots. Between Kasha's laying down AK fire and Ren picking them off with sniper fire, they were able to annihilate this group, take one prisoner, get some intel later. But they hook up with the Silesh forces, these anti-Baronite forces, and these guys are going to come and help them because they know about the convoy. They want to stop it too. So it's going to be step 1, take the airfield. Step 2, use the Hind to recon where the convoy is coming from. And step 3, stop the convoy. And then I guess after that, step 4, take out the Baron. So that's far down the road, I guess, in the planning stage still. So a cool little incident occurred. During this, I kind of wanted to explore a little bit of St. Florian, because he's been kind of quiet and one-dimensional, mostly healing and recovering and doped up on morphine for a long time, courtesy of Kasha and Kylie Fuentes, an NPC nurse who's in the group. So there's an interesting scene where while they were in Silesh, the Saint took off his boots and went to go play some soccer with some of the kids there. So in Silesh, there's like fields, right? So they're growing crops in the middle of blown up, burned out Warsaw, and there's some kids playing soccer, and the Saint joined them. Which is an interesting scene in a way, because yes, the first time, maybe rumor has it, that Kasha smiled. She hadn't smiled for a while. So yeah, it was pretty neat. The other group, I think it was Ronson and Diaz and some others. They drove to a nearby town that they heard was not friendly to the Baron. Chernov and the Chernov, Aubrey, Grunts, and others stayed back at the McDonald's that they had found and hung out with, and they were kind of watching these Russian airmen led by a Volokov, also known as, I think he's also known as the Executioner. Also the Kazakh Russian howitzer group stayed there as well. But Diaz and Ronson, and I think potentially, Rupert went with them too. The German vehicle in the Lynx, they went to this town, Minsk, Makoviewicz, not Minsk from like the Minsk in Belarus, but Minsk, Makoviewicz in eastern Poland. They give a good impression to the group that it's a walled. They put like a wall around the town. They pushed off the Baron's forces in the summer, and they know that the Baron has reinforced that the nearby airfield, which used to be a Polish military airfield. So so they go in. They go in there. They actually get some burgers from another McDonald's that's there. Of course, they're not. They're just made there on the grills that are operational. But they get in good with the locals. So now I think they have a plan to put the howitzer at the edge of Minsk as a backup, just in case things go south when they try to take the airfield. And Kasha and others have started to devise a plan to get the airfield. So, and now they have like some reinforcements from the Sliyesh militia because they'll help with the airfield either as reserve or backup. They have some anti-tank weapons and explosives. Interestingly, there's some Americans among that group. They're ex-Americans in that Sliyesh group as well. They also know that they tell the survivors of Free Krakow Coalition there's Americans among the Baron's men, so maybe those guys can also be turned, to fight, because Chernov has done it already. He's got like a small squad of Marines, one who's still kind of a prisoner, one who's still recovering from a back injury, but he's got 3 guys with him who are like, yeah, man, it's good to see you, First Sergeant. So yeah, we got some reinforcements. It should be pretty fun. So Traveler, again, like I said, it's a very strong game. We're definitely continuing it. I really like how quickly the rules work in system. It's a fast-paced game, and we really enjoy it. Definitely a lot more, before execution occurs, a lot more thinking and planning. And I kind of like that type of game, honestly. So yeah, well, that's Tuesday. Man, we're already 20 minutes in, and I'm only on Wednesday. So that is actually a recording of the sort of whistling and chanting, singing at a football game of Legia Warsaw in Poland. Maybe the Saint has a prehistory before the war. Anyway, it's fun stuff that we do and think about with NPCs. That could be a show. Wednesday is Pathfinder Day. We've been running Kingmaker and Abomination Vaults. We were able to finish the first book of Abomination Vaults this year. That game has suffered from a lot of no-goes, misses, rescheduling. But hey, we're on to book 2 already. It's a 3-part adventure path, so perhaps if we're dedicated, we could finish it this year. So Kingmaker is like a one big book now. It was originally a 1E Pathfinder adventure path that spanned 6 books. I got to book 6 and then kind of had a near TPK, and the player characters lost interest. They were ambushed by an invisible dragon. It happens. So I think 2 characters died. Was it 1 character? 1 character maybe perma-died. 1 character was killed, and then the clone came back because he's a high-level wizard, and the other 2 escaped somehow, something like that. But we lost interest. But now we're back here to the 2nd edition Kingmaker with Pathfinder 2E rules, and it's going really well. We actually they're actually almost done with what would be the first book, which is kind of nice. A lot of exploration. The 2nd book is when they actually start their domain, and we do start doing domain play, the city building mini game that Pathfinder Kingmaker is known for. So they've actually made it this last session into the enemy, the final enemy in the first book. This individual called the Stag Lord. So they kind of found a way to sneak into the fortress, and they've made it in. So there's a really cool fight. Getting to the secret entrance, they were able to not be spotted by patrols on the walls, and they got in and they had a fight in the basement. So now they're going to come up from below and cause some havoc, I guess, which would be kind of neat. So that's Pathfinder. It's going well. Have 4 players in my Kingmaker game, 3 players in the Abomination Vaults game. The Abomination Vaults game could do with another player just to create consistency. Because if we have like if we one person is not there for Abomination Vaults, we usually end up not playing. Do another backup game. I'll talk about the backup games in a little bit, but for Abomination, so for Kingmaker, if one person misses, we keep going with three. So if two people miss, we have a backup game, I guess. So, so there you go. So I guess maybe that's another topic to talk about. What happens when people don't show up to a game? What do you do? How do you run it? Probably again take some inspiration from what Kevin Madison does. But sometimes like these, I guess the main thing is if I know ahead of time we're not going to have a game and I still want to do something, I can get something set up. It's just kind of a last minute cancellation that always kind of ruins things unless I'm ready to run one of the backup games. So I think I just need to be better about getting ready to run the backup games, just in case, right? So prep for those as well. Prep for the main game, prep for the backup game just in case, and then go from there. So that's my Wednesday Pathfinder day. So Thursday, look, no music, no pause. Thursday is our home group, and we have been playing for the last, I would say, almost 3 years, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay: The Enemy Within. We are on book 4, The Horned Rat, and the last couple sessions have been really good, very focused. The player characters have been very focused in completing the investigation that they're given at hand, and kind of have made the right choices when the clues are given so that they don't have to muddle around the red herrings. A little bit of luck, a little bit of systematic analysis of what's going on, I think, by one or two of the player characters when they get the clues. So I think it's been pretty good. This last time, they blew up another purple hand cultist cell. So these are worshippers of Tzeentch that they defeated in the Power Behind the Throne, and they're kind of mopping things up. They destroyed the sort of lair of the leader of the Order Terribilis in the town, and it apparently was associated with a very powerful, rich merchants merchants guild, or not merchants guild. It was a company, like a hauling company, that had a strong contract with a lot of different groups in town, merchants in town, to haul their stuff. So they just, I thought what I think really worked really well is that the players did not, when they got the clues, there's like a choice where they could like kind of they kind of bluffed their way into a situation, and they got the clues that they needed, and then the decision was, are we going to push these clues forward or come back later? And I think because they decided to push forward, they surprised the bad guys. Because if they would have come back later, the bad guys would have been like on alert and ready for them, not knowing who was going to come or when they were going to come, but kind of on edge. And they just ran through there and took down some undead, found the wizard and the interrogator. It's not interrogator. The Inquisitor in the group kind of chased him down as he's trying to flee. They actually opened the door, saw that the necromancer was in the room, and threw in a grenade. Blew himself up a little bit. Didn't hurt the necromancer. Didn't really hurt the demon that the necromancer had summoned. Some characters fought and killed the demon, while the Inquisitor chased a fleeing necromancer after he got shot by another character into a tunnel, and kind of took him down. They captured him to interrogate later and probably to publicly execute. That seems to be the way of things. So then they also learned, though, that this set of tunnels led to a large depot, for lack of a better term, in the undertunnels of Middenheim, the city that they're in. And then they definitely have evidence that there are Ratmen and Skaven that are doing something, are involved with not just the Purple Hand, but also this Yellow Fang cult, where humans who hang out love Skaven, I guess. So they've been dealing with that, and it went really well. So the investigation to take down this Order Terribilis guy went really well this time. The last time they had rescued a defector of the Purple Hand. So now they need to present their case to the Graph, and now that they've learned perhaps what the Skaven's end game is, they're going to deal with that. So I think we're like halfway done with the book. We should finish it here in the first quarter. Definitely by mid-year we'll finish it. So we might be able to finish. It seems we go about half a year to finish a book, maybe 3/4 of a year. So maybe by the end of the year we'll have finished The Enemy Within. And then I don't know what we're going to do. I think the idea is like, since it's kind of like the same rule set, a percentile dice-based system with careers and classes, I think we're going to jump to like Imperium Maledictum afterwards. So the other games, we flip-flop. We don't run every week. We flip-flop with the other game that we've been running, Star Wars Age of Rebellion. And we're I had set this season up for kind of pre-Battle of Scarif, pre-Battle of Yavin. So I think we're in like 0 BBY before the Battle of Yavin. And this season was totally dealing with Onderon, not Alderaan, Onderon, and the player characters getting involved there. And the last session was really amazing. We had player characters get some intel and fly up into space and destroy or take out like a Imperial transport that was gonna have like some commandos that were gonna be dropped behind the lines to take their base. They're kind of dealing head on with this Moff who wants the Whisper base for something. They kind of have an idea that it's for some secret project that the Empire is doing, and the Moff is involved in it. In any case, the Moff wants his base back, so he finally comes to a head. They've gotten Beast Riders of Onderon and villagers from nearby to act as a militia. They actually have player characters with the militia to help them hold the line against the encroaching Imperials. There's a good little fight there, and the cool thing was that the militia was able to hold the line long enough for the Beast Riders to swoop in and finish off the Imperial troops. One of the player, but then the Moff has an AT-AT, and that could wreak havoc on the base if it get through the shield, or if the shield were taken down. There's some commandos that need to be wrapped up. So some players kind of take out the commandos in leadership among the Imperial troops that attack. One guy actually, and then when the ship comes back from getting rid of that airship, it kind of comes and starts strafing the AT-AT, doing some damage, but the AT-ATs are pretty tough, that they can hold their own in a way, though not as mobile against a ship. But the coup de grace, or the cool thing that happened in the game, was one of the player characters took one of the AT-ST, one of their scout walkers, and with all this distraction of this ship strafing the AT-AT, he was a mechanic, so he kind of overloaded the grenade launcher and the plasma grenade launcher and the guns, and this kind of drove the AT-ST into the leg of the AT-AT and kind of took it down. And then the other characters kind of went there and captured them off. It was good. It's very satisfying ending to our season. So I guess I don't know if I'm going to. I had an idea that I was going to have the player characters be at the Battle of Scarif. Of course, not on the ground, because we know what happens there. See Rogue One, but in the space battle. But I don't know. I think it might be more interesting to just fast forward to after the Battle of Yavin, and the player characters pick up there. They've reached like rank 2, so they're kind of well known in Rebel circles by this point. So yeah, what I'll do is just have them narrate if they were at the Battle of Scarif, if they are at the Battle of Yavin, or on the fourth moon of Yavin, when the Death Star was approaching, what they did, so that kind of thing. So it'd be really interesting, and very interestingly too, because they do have a relationship with the partisans, with Saul Guerra's group. So it should be interesting if they explore what they were doing, like in the Rogue One, Star Wars, A New Hope time frame, which I think would be pretty cool. So we finished that. So then our next step, since finishing Star Wars, and we'll do this in the new year here this next week, is we're going to finish. We had done like a one shot or half a one shot. I can't remember for what some holiday. I don't know if it was maybe it was for no, it wasn't for the Halloween, but we decided to, maybe because some players were missing, to start try to do the Alien RPG Chariot of the Gods from the starter set, sort of a cinematic alien adventure. So we didn't quite finish it. It maybe has two sessions. It probably take. I feel like with this group, it takes like about one session per act. So there's two more acts, so probably another two sessions to finish Alien RPG. And the idea was originally to continue make space marines, make colonial marines, and then do destroyer of worlds and sort of a marines based campaign. So or marines based mini campaign, but it looks like one of the players at least is not really doesn't like the rule set. It's a pretty it's a rule set that leans towards incompetence because it's the free league mutant year zero. You roll a pool of d6s. Only sixes are successes. There's a stress mechanic that adds more sixes, but if you roll a one when you're using stress dice, bad things happen. It's very similar to the Walking Dead universe core rules that have just been released. So some players don't like that. So we might do a switch out, and it looks like we've already been talking about some more Pathfinder 2 second edition. I just got the player core book I bought it from Noble Knight Games, and I have the player core book in the revised Pathfinder 2, and I really like it. Oh my gosh, the layout's so much better than the previous incarnation, and I think we're going to run some PF2, and most likely we're going to do the Bloodlords Adventure Path. So Bloodlords Adventure Path, it is the 33rd Pathfinder Adventure Path. It was published in July, and it ran from July to December of 2022. And here is the little blurb. The undead nation of Geb gains most of its trade from the export of food grown on zombie-worked farms. But one farm has been the site of a series of strange occurrences. The Bloodlord Adventure Path is a 6-part monthly campaign in which the characters rise from skilled troubleshooters to join the Bloodlords, who ruled the land of the dead. So the first adventure is called Zombie Feast, and then it goes on from there. So there's also a Bloodlords Player's Guide, so the Ghost King of Geb Geb is ruled by a Ghost King. He rules a nation where living and undead work uneasily side by side. The power behind the throne and the true rulers of Geb are the Bloodlords, a scheming group of undying necromancers whose whims affect millions. Joining the Bloodlords isn't easy, but your band of less than good-hearted troubleshooters is destined to ascend their ranks for exposing a dangerous plot to the nation. So yeah, sounds pretty fun. So characters can be morally gray. Tolerating like cruel and all-out evil probably won't work in a group of player characters, but they can be morally gray. Some player characters already have ideas for what kind of player characters they want to run. So I think I'm kind of excited about that. It should be pretty fun. I really do like the Pathfinder 2 rule set. So I guess we'll have 3 Pathfinder ongoing games, which is kind of interesting. Well, we finally reached Friday, and Friday's kind of open. It seems like we've been running spontaneous horror or survival horror games on that day, whether it's Call of Cthulhu, the game I've been running, Arkham Country. It originally started out as like a duel game between my wife Amy and I, but we've added our friend Anne to play as well. But we've also run Walking Dead also with Amy, and her sister Cindy has joined us, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. It might be survival horror or horror game. The other possibility, actually, we probably will start doing in the new year as part of a YouTube series, or maybe not. But Anne has volunteered to run Shadow Dark. So Shadow Dark is a new sort of 5e adjacent game run or published by the Arcane Library. The author is Kelsey Dione, and it's a new game that's out there, and we kind of gotten a lot of buzz. It's supposed to have an old school type of feel, so I think we might be running that one. I think that would be kind of neat to do. So that would be like our Friday game. And then we jump to Saturday. Well, I got 2 games going on Saturday. Another Warhammer Fantasy game, but I'm not running that one. I'm playing in that one. And that you can see on the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel run by Kevin Madison. And that is Salt, Silver, and Sin. I play a priest of Shalia who has just graduated, advanced to level 2. She's now an actual priest and not an initiate. And we're in the middle of a murder mystery. So we're going to pick that up in the new year, I hope, and continue our Salt, Silver, and Sin saga. A lot of S's there. And I have a lisp, so SSS. There we go. I sound like a Sir Hiss from the Robin Hood, Disney Robin Hood. Anyway, the other game we run on Saturday, every other Saturday, we're running our ongoing D&D 5e Eberron campaign, and that one's called Tales from the Broken Anvil, named after the bar that the player characters met at, hang out at, plan their missions from. So pretty cool stuff there. We just finished Forgotten Relics, our first adventure. It's the adventure that comes in the Eberron Rising from the Last War book. But I'm probably going to start running my own stuff based on the clues that I've developed from there. But I might a smattering of published adventures from the DM's Guild or other places that kind of work along with that. So the player characters, we had to wrap up really quickly. The player characters at the end of Forgotten Relics captured the bad guy, captured the loot that the bad guy was trying to run away with. So now we got to interrogate said bad guy, get their rewards, and look at the loot, examine the loot. So they all advanced to 3rd level, which is yay, 3rd level, which is a cool kind of level you get and start getting to in 5e. So we'll kind of be neat to go from there and see what we want to do afterwards. So that means for me, more prep, because I got to figure out what the loot actually is. Actually, I have an idea. No worries. I've had to refer actually back to, I feel like I got to show an image like some other people do. I'm looking at you, Kevin, that kind of put, these are the things I'm studying for the next game, all these books. I have to dig out my Eberron 3.5 stuff to kind of figure out what to do next. Although the Eberron 5e game is pretty good. It's really good. I love especially like all the different factions that it has in there. And the player characters have a lot. They actually just helped, indirectly. I don't know if they were planning to. They indirectly helped one of the gangs in the city by outmaneuvering or getting to the bottom of the plan of another gang. So we'll see how that goes and what happens with that. So Sunday has been open. We were running an ongoing game of Savage Rifts, and although that we also did Jackals in that time slot, and that's kind of on a hiatus. I really love that we were able to run Jackals on our YouTube channel. It was really great to have my wife Amy, who seems to be one of the usual suspects, along with BJ of the Arcane Alienist. But we also had Hobbs from Hobbs and Friends and Random Screed come on and help out with Jackals, which was pretty cool. So maybe we'll see more of that. I don't know. The other game I play in on Sundays is on the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel also, and that is a Traveler game called the Borderlands Run. We're in the Trojan Reach sector and getting into trouble on the Rift Wanderer. I play a Vargur, ex-Imperial Navy Vargur named Anchor Gavang, I think. So yeah, it's been really fun. It's really cool to be running a game and playing in a game with the same rule set. I think that's pretty neat. So that's kind of what's going on. We do have a few backup games when I play. So for example, on Wednesdays, it seems like our backup games, like a Pathfinder doesn't meet. Then we played Hyperborea, a Shadows Out of Vinland game, which has had some setbacks with a new set of players. But the last time we played, it was really fun. I really like Hyperborea a lot. And then we also have played as a sub game in that same time slot, OSE Basic Lost City, the Lost City by Moldvay B4. before. No, it's called before, not before. TSR error. No, it is TSR error. But before the great, I don't know, something or other. Anyway, it is Basic 4, the module Basic 4, The Lost City. And Goodman Games came up with a reprint of it that has a 5e version, and the original basic D&D version. But what I do like, and I will still keep it as OSC Basic, is that the 5e stuff has all like the city and the caves kind of codified before. Oh, and more defined the lower levels. So like the adventure originally just goes to like level 5, and then there's an outline of the lower levels 6 to 10, including the big bad somewhere in there. But the city was left open, and they've kind of given ideas of what can be down there in the Goodman Games product for the 5e rule set, not for basic, but it's easy to convert, for me. So on our Thursday group, when we don't have a quorum, we've been playing as a substitute game Achtung Cthulhu, the Modiphius 2D20 version, and I'm running a game that I kind of randomly generated from the GM's toolkit that comes with the GM screen for the product line, and it's called the Spear of Scotty. And we're coming to the conclusion where the player characters have traveled through the caves of this glacial volcanic mountain. It's a hard to pronounce Norwegian name, but it's the highest peak in Norway. You can look it up. But they've come to the cave, and they found this sort of section of the cave where there's like a chasm. There's some bridges over the chasm, and it leads to some sort of to a structure that defies Euclidean geometry. So in theory, this is Scotty's tomb, where Scotty lives, where the Spear of Scotty is located, that the Nazis want to get so that they can call it the Spear of Destiny. They've seen in their books that the person that wields a spear can harness lightning. So, Notwolf definitely wants that kind of magic / tech. So who knows what it is? I don't even know what it is yet, but I really hope we do get to it. So a couple of you guys on the Thursday group, we need to miss so I can finish the Spear of Scotty. And then we were actually talking about like an ongoing Achtung Cthulhu campaign, whether we do, it would be great to do, I think it's called Shadows of Atlantis, one of the first campaigns, but there's also the 3-point campaign that spans World War II. There's also one that takes place in North Africa. There's one that takes place during the Battle of the Bulge. You name it, they got it. So, or I do my own stuff, just randomly generate it. The cool thing is that this one here takes place in Norway, so I could do sort of a series of Norwegian tales with this group who are kind of Russian, but also Norwegian. So Norwegian resistance and Russian spies. I don't know. There might be an American or two thrown in. Who knows? Because Russia were our allies during World War II, lest we forget. And then things went south after. So, or maybe they always were south. Who knows? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't know. That's more political than I want to get to. So anyway, those are the backup games. I'm going to pause here, get a drink, and then I'll talk about the future. So what will 2024 bring? Well, we kind of started 2 to 3 months ago, just started doing actual play on YouTube. I think that's going to continue. We've done some things on YouTube. We have some ongoing games, a D&D 5e Eberron game, and then less regular, our Walking Dead universe role-playing game. But we also have some poll games coming up. Amy runs a poll on the community tab on the channel and says, hey, what do you guys want to, it's like 4 choices, what do you want to see? And what we owe people are Savage Worlds Deadlands and a Candela Obscura game. And Amy's got a poll going on right now with like the second place winners from the last few polls. So, and we run Jackals from that poll, which was kind of cool. So we've stuck to it, tried to. The holidays got in the way, but yeah, we're running. We're going to run some stuff based on that poll, and then I'd like to do an AD&D 1.5, so using Unearthed Arcana, Wilderness Guide, Dungeoneer's Guide. So basically the proficiencies therein. I'll dual play with Amy, and I'm going to set it in the 1E era of the Forgotten Realms on the Moonshae Islands. I've bought some stuff. I'm going to read some stuff. I have some ideas how I'm going to modify an intro adventure to get that going, and that'll be on the YouTubes as well. So those are those two things. As far as I think the podcast goes, that's going to continue. I guess the big thing are the recaps, and I'll continue to recap games. I'm going to try to do it more, I don't know if it's regular is a word, but more structured. So I did write an outline this time about what I wanted to talk to you, and I think it was less rambly, more to the point. So I think I'll do that. We'll continue to have polls for new games, of course, to talk about. But I think what I want to do is I've tried to have guests on before, and I'll continue to do that, but maybe I'll have guests on to talk about specific things or specific games and try to do that maybe at least once a month. And then Amy and I had talked about, we saw this poll about the 10 best Westerns, and we never got around to kind of talking about, I think that'd be fun for her and I to come on and talk about Westerns as kind of a Western movie night. And then maybe after that, I don't know if we'll get like not just those top 10, but maybe others depending. Maybe we'll try to do that at least once a month. There's 10, so we have to add a couple more to talk about that we might not be in that list, and that we'll add to. I know the first one is gonna be, if we decide to do it, Treasure of the Sierra Madre. And I think High Noon was another one. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Django Unchained will be on there, I think. This is top 10 poll we saw on a YouTube thing somewhere, and it was based on, I think it was either based on YouTube hits or IMDb rating, something like that. So there was some sort of pseudo statistical reason for it, but that sounds like fun. You'll probably see me here and there on other podcasts as a guest. I hope to get more invites, and I want to, like I said, I really need to be more bold about asking people, and then after I ask people, to follow up with them to get them on. So I've had a few creatives as guests as well, and I'd like to continue to do that. So yeah, I think that's kind of it for what I want to do in the future, and how I want this podcast and now the YouTube to continue. I do have cons coming up, BSerCon 3, an online con being the first of them. I'm scheduled to run 3 games there, all of which are my own thing, so no, nothing published. In hindsight, maybe I should have added a Walking Dead one, because I kind of did all this work for the South Central Texas, between San Antonio and Austin, up the 281 corridor, Walking Dead site, right, with all the sectors that I did out. So, but maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do that in some other capacity. Maybe I'll save that for the next con, which I think is going to be Chupacabra Con, and then North Texas RPG Con. I might go to another con somewhere in there as well. And then we have our Big Texas Comic Con in the fall, where I'm going to be running games, or organizing the gaming that is going to be done at Big Texas Comic Con through Amy's Crush Foundation, or to benefit Amy's Crush Foundation and the charities that Big Texas Comic Con support. So big plans in the new year. I hope to get disciplined, and with the help of some of my creative friends, get some of my things that I've run several times, had really good play tests with, have taken down notes. I just got to get them out of outline form into something more palatable. I bought some software to help do that with the sort of layout. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe there might actually be a Rodriguez empire in 2024. But I do want to thank you for continuing to listen. It's great to get feedback. Thank you, BJ, for the comments of our journey down from Dallas along the 281 corridor. See, I was doing research for my Walking Dead game. Thank you so much, TJ Drennan, for the intro and outro music. It was great to be able to meet you this year at North Texas Comic Con. Thank you so much. The people that have supported this channel and the other, I think it's great for Hobbs to come out and play some Jackals with Amy and I. So it was good to do that. And I want to thank Kevin Madison for all the help and inspiration and pointers on getting a YouTube channel, because he has millions and millions of subscribers now, but he once was modest hundreds. So yeah, pretty neat stuff. Thank you, my listeners. Everyone have a safe and happy new year. I hope you have a really great new year. 2023 was a little of a downer for me. I've tried to maintain my sanity by playing games. And I hope to be more excited and have more games, talk about games in the future in 2024. So without further blathering, good night and good rolling. Again, Happy New Year. Thank you again, TJ, for the music. My wife Amy does a cover clip art. And yeah, bye.
Oh.